Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right?
What's up, guys? GP here, back with another episode of the Peach Chronicles, and today I'm here with episode 6.
Yeah, I like your hair.
Really?
Yeah, looks better than last time.
Moving through the show a little bit, episode 6, and the name of this episode is Value. This episode is mostly about Van. Sometimes Atlanta likes to really separate characters and not make them so much about Paperboy, make it so much about rap or anything like that, and just dive into a good character development story, and that's what this is in this episode. And we learn a lot about Van. And we also get to see good interaction between two women and two old friends as well. I relate to this episode, I feel like, just from the start, because I'm starting to get to the age now to where I'm linking up with friends from my past. We are re-meeting in adulthood, seeing each other again in adulthood. Some of them have kids, some of them do not have kids, but we're different versions of ourselves. And I think this episode does an amazing job of showing how when you link up with an old friend, the outcome can be kind of unpredictable.
I would like some wine, maybe? Like a Chardonnay?
Why don't we do like a bottle?
If I am taking a little bit longer, I am having a session during this. This is Friday after work, and usually when I watch Atlanta, I like to smoke and chill and talk about the episode. So that's what I'm doing this episode. It may be a little bit longer, it may not be, but let's get going. First off, to start this episode, we know that Van shouldn't be in this restaurant. We see the status of this restaurant. We know what Van's financial situation is like, and off rip, I can relate to this. I link up with some friends who have bread, and I get it. When you have bread, there's no reason to really stoop down, I guess, financially for other people and stuff like that. But I've been in situations where people want to eat at a restaurant where the bill is going to come out to $200 or whatever, or even $50, $60 on a normal Thursday evening that I am not willing to spend. And these are the type of barriers that can already make it to where Van doesn't see her friend very often, because every time they link up, they have to go to the nicest restaurant possible.
Did you go to that shop I told you to go to? Fernando's?
No.
You should have went to Fernando's.
How much does Fernando charge?
Oh, well, he ain't cheap.
Who's paying for yours? Because I actually have to pay for mine.
The way the conversation starts is immediately spicy. I obviously don't just watch women's relationships or anything like that, but if it's really like this in real life with some quote-unquote friends, that is interesting. They are taking knocks at each other immediately, like the underhand saying that her hair looks good. And one, like, everybody has different tastes or whatever, for sure, but Van looks presentable to me, and I understand the level of the restaurant and what this lady might expect from her, but in no way does Van look bummy, does her hair look bummy, does anything about her look bummy to me. But I understand the class difference, and it's just crazy how fast it happens, how fast they get to the grime. Like, they're not even able to have any pleasantries. And not that you need to have small talk, but sometimes in these scenes in real life, I'm like, why are you even hanging out with this person?
Blue Delta?
No, private. Yeah, but it wasn't like the nice PJ. It was like one of those rent-a-PJs.
Both these people and the lives they live are why people in these different lives don't hang out. As I watch this, they don't hang out because it sounds like you're gloating. If she were to be talking to other basketball wives or basketball baby mamas or other women in that world, celebrity world, then it wouldn't sound so crazy, and you can have a real conversation if that's the plane that y'all are living on. But when you're talking to a almost single mother who probably hasn't left Atlanta very much at this point, it sounds like gloating. So in a way, she has to take digs at her for her, like, character, because she has to take the character high ground while the other woman is taking, like, the financial high ground, and then they butt heads in a classic classist battle. You're a cocky rich person, especially one that doesn't make their own money, and her like, all right, you're just self-righteous, and that's what's keeping you down.
Then to London.
London?
Yep.
You're gonna go with a friend?
Special NBA player.
It's not the same NBA player
Oh, no,
that
girl.
you're
Nope.
visiting here?
I mean, London's okay, I guess. There's just too much rain.
Yeah, they live in completely separate worlds.
Sometimes I wish I had a kid, but then I'm like, ugh.
completely separate worlds, and they're almost not even speaking the same language. And it shows, and I mean, it's a test to the writing that Donald Glover and his writer's room have, but they're not even like communicating. It's like the words are like sliding right by each other, because she has no feel for that she's being rude and saying like ew to a kid and stuff like that. Because I feel that way a lot of times. I'll see somebody as a kid, I'll be like, ugh. Like, and I'm starting to maybe think about it one day, but most of the time I'm like, ugh. You know? But I wouldn't vocalize that. Like, I'll at least, like, feign interest. And I like kids. I'm not saying I don't like kids, but sometimes the thought of being a parent, having to change diapers and do all that extra shit that parents have to do, it is definitely like a you type thing. But to vocalize it is rude.
I'm sure as soon as you find the right guy.
Yeah, the right guy.
And Van is talking like in this world of damn near like fairy tale to this woman. Like, this woman doesn't have the perspective of settling down and finding a good man, and she's looking for the next lick pretty much each time. So she damn near sees Van saying look for the right man as like a joke, and Van sees her saying that she could be a mother a joke. And when you don't even when you're not on like the same page or plane talking that wise, it's like you're hardly communicating. You may as well be speaking different languages, because clearly y'all aren't understanding each other at all.
To Carrie Clopton. You remember her from 5th grade? She looked like she got a rake dragged across her face.
On Facebook, it said she was in a car accident.
Like, this woman's evil. But at the same time, we may have all been caught doing something like that. At least thinking something. But this woman doesn't even have any type of emotion or empathy or anything like that to not vocalize what she's thinking. And to deflect her not talking bad about Van, she starts talking bad about somebody else that they can then bully together. And when Van doesn't want to do that, they get lucky that the food comes out.
Are you still seeing him? We have a daughter.
First off, she said, are you still seeing him? As if because he has money, even if they have a child together, Van should no longer talk to Earn. It shows her reality. Like, that's what she would do if she has a child with a man and she found a richer man. She wouldn't even allow the child to see the father, like the quote-unquote poor father. Because Earn isn't a bad father at the end of the day. Like, Earn is a present father who's there for his daughter. That's what we can see so far out of his character. And so with that being said, first off, for her friend to bash Earn because he doesn't make a lot of money it's wrong, because that's not what fatherhood is. It's part of it. Like, you have to provide, but being present is, in my opinion, actually more important than providing, like, strangely enough.
Chopsticks. What? Thai people don't use chopsticks. I mean, well, Americans think they do because they're Asian, but they don't.
This lady jumps to so many conclusions about Van's life, some of which are correct in terms of the fact that they do have a complex relationship that they haven't really figured out. But a friend doesn't say y'all are funny and mock your relationship. They listen, they learn, that type of stuff, but they don't just jump to judgment. This is what tells me that they don't really have a friendship. And also, they don't drive a wedge in between you and your partner in that same type of way, in my opinion. Like, that's the father of Van's child. And when she brings up seeing him on Snapchat and, like, putting these feelings in Van's head and stuff like that, like, you just can't keep friends like this around, in my opinion, especially if you want to have a stable relationship. If you don't have a stable relationship or stable friendships in general, these are the, like, divisive people and very dangerous people, actually. Very selfish, dangerous people.
You really need to think about your value.
I'm sorry?
Like, what is your value?
But what are you asking me right now?
It's affecting Van more than she probably even realizes, because she's irritated. Like, when the lady brought up whether she wanted to go to the listening party or anything like that, Van immediately said,
Sounds cool, but I can't. I have Lottie.
no. That means she doesn't even really want to hang out with this woman, this friend. Why are they linking up? I feel like sometimes people in these situations link up because I feel like sometimes people in these situations just link up because later they don't want someone to be like, hey, you didn't hit me back up when you were in my city, whatever. They don't want to feel guilty or anything like that, so they just say yes and agree to linking up. But then stuff like this happens. Some of this is clearly affecting Van because it's true. Like, they have a very strange relationship, but some of it's affecting her just because she's forgetting that her friend doesn't really know her that well. Like, people that are that selfish as her friend, they can't know people that well, truly, because they actually don't care about people that much. And so for her to say that a mother with a child just needs to reevaluate her value is only partially right. Because some of it is that Van maybe should reach for certain types of guys. She is a single mother in the situation that she's in, but still, maybe that is the case. But with that being said, for somebody to just jump to that conclusion and act like that she has no options, that she's just desperate for earn and stuff, that's also not the case. Like, she takes care of herself overall, she takes care of her child, and she takes care of her responsibilities, but she's not going to live at the whim of celebrity men like this other woman is. And this other woman thinks that that's what being valuable means. And that's just not Van's definition of being valuable.
I don't want to be out here dating a million football players. That's your style.
This is what I find cool about women in like their 30s or 40s or whatever.
Wait, you gonna take your jacket to the bathroom?
The fact that she just got up and walked out of there. Like, she's like, I'm not about to deal with this shit. I feel like a lot of younger people deal with a lot of shit that they should just get out of that situation when the situation's not right for them. And I respect her for doing that. Because if somebody had ambushed me like that, I don't care what. That's not true. I'm a man, and I probably would have been down to go do some random shit. But I would like a warning. I'm not going to act like if my friend was like, hey, we're going to this listening party, somebody got free tickets, let's go, and I didn't know about it before, that I would be upset about it. But I also hang out with people that I like hanging out with. But at the same time, if I got to the listening party and I didn't like it for 25 minutes, I'd walk right out. I'm bad about this. I'm bad about just walking out of places. I won't even say goodbyes. I don't have feelings for like those type of commonality. Like, if somebody else left and did that to me, like, I would understand if that's just what they had to do. But I should be better about saying goodbye. I say goodbye if we're in like a small arena and like there's a few people there, but I do not say goodbye if it's like a big party. Or my friends took me to this club the other day, I literally just walked out of there, got in a lift, and went home.
Get your raggedy purse having ass in this car.
Even there, when she's offering her the J, and she just knows probably from Vanessa's youth that she used to like smoking weed, and like that's a way to get her to come somewhere, she still talks about her purse. Like, it really matters. Like, she still talks about her purse being raggedy. But so it just, the friend can't give like straight compliments. Even if she's like begging, she still has to take a little bit of an ego shot to make herself feel better. She does convince Vanessa though to go hang out for the night at least. I was telling Nicole the other day, you don't commonly see a lot of two women sessions. I know they happen, but I saw it recently here in Chicago just walking down the street. I saw it twice in the same week when I never see it. Two women chilling outside, like on a nook of like like an apartment or something like that in the front, just smoking a joint. Like, they were outside. I'm not looking at somebody's house, but you just don't see it. You see dudes in groups smoking weed all the time, but it's interesting to see, and it's interesting to see these two women hotboxing together in a car getting high. And because the thing is, I know women do it, but I don't see this type of stuff very often. And I think it's cool. I think the idea of two women friends hotboxing together in their mid to high 30s. No, these are like mid to low 30s. It's funny to me.
Take a picture of me real fast.
Girl, hold on.
Go up.
Even how long it just took Vanessa to take that picture is showing her age and how out of the social media like gambit she is or whatever. Because anybody else can easily just pick up the phone and take a picture. It took her forever. Even if you're smoking weed or whatever, it took her forever to get that up. Like, if I was the other person, I'd be like, what are you doing? I understand. And the lady, but Vanessa's like, why we gotta take a picture right now? Like, in your car, like, smoking, like, what do we need this picture for? And so I understand both sides, but it just further shows the differing realities that these women live in.
Look at the thought. You look like an Instagram escort. You should be proud of that shit.
That is one of the best scenes, in my opinion, since the beginning of the show up until now. I'm not gonna say for the whole length of the show, but in this first 6 episodes, I think that's one of my favorite scenes. She takes the picture. Of course, the picture's bad because Van's not used to taking pictures, like, consistently, especially not probably in dark, smoking weed, shit like that. The lady says that, her friend says that she looks like a thought. Vanessa agrees with her and then says that she looks like an Instagram escort and that she should be proud of that. Just saying how she feels about her, how she sees her friend. Just blatantly telling her, like, this is how I see you. And then the friend looks at her, laughs, but, like, in a dejected type of way, not like in a confident, actually, this is funny type of way. But then tells her,
I love you, Van. I love you.
and when I heard it the first time, it sounded the same to me. She could have said, I hate you in that exact moment, too. Like, their line between love and hate for each other's lives is very, very fine, in my opinion. Very fine. Like, they borderline hate each other. And the lines between love and hate can be so thin that I feel like if you have some lasting friendship and the reason you're friends with somebody is just because you've been friends with them before, those lines between love and hate and even apathy can really start to get kind of confusing.
I have a drug test today. Girl, you smoked yesterday.
As she asks her friend about, like, drug testing, I'm that way. Like, if a friend asks me about drug testing, I've never had a job that required to drug test, and I don't plan around any type of drug testing or plan on drug testing ever. And so when somebody asks me about drug testing, like, I can't really help them because it's literally irrelevant to me. The fact that Vanessa forgot that she had a drug test coming up and she doesn't even smoke. It's not even like she's been holding off to smoke. She doesn't smoke, and she chose to smoke the day before a drug test. It's so idiotic. It's a mistake that in no way could be made, in my opinion, but she's in a predicament for sure. You need to take a drug test, and there's a urine drug test, and you have smoked within the last 24 hours. It is impossible to pass that drug test without artificial pee. It's the only way. Artificial or like somebody else's. Artificial will probably get flagged in a lot of modern day drug tests, but it has to be like somebody else's pee. It's literally the only way. Mouth swab, you may be able to get away with it, and I still wouldn't suggest to have smoked the night before. And obviously we all know that hair, you're fucked. It's over for you, buddy.
She?
No, not yet.
It's cool. We'll pick something up.
I think Van is suspicious of Vern in this situation, in this scene, because of how good of a mood he's in. I think that's a sign for women that something's off when a man's in a good mood, which is so interesting. That's always the funniest thing to me. Like, if a dude is in a good mood, the woman doesn't trust him. Men aren't supposed to be happy. We're supposed to do our job and frown. And so, just playing off that idea is hilarious, because Van usually isn't even jealous. Obviously, the friend from the night before triggered some of these jealous feelings that she's feeling now. Like, she definitely brought up some concerns, but still, you can see her when Ern is talking, giving him a side eye, because she's like, man, why is this nigga in such a good mood? So yeah, she sees the woman's picture in his phone, and I'm sure assumes so much. That woman's picture actually means absolutely nothing in his phone is the funny thing to me, but I'm sure she got a lot of esteem. It's like, all right, I can do whatever I want, just based off that picture.
You smoke.
So in the last episode, Al is in a celebrity game with Justin Bieber. And in this episode, he's bagging grams. So it really shows he's still in the same spot. Like, he's renting a decent house in Atlanta, still selling weed, still not making enough money off of music, and not changing much. They don't ever show him in the studio, ever show him writing, so we have to assume bro is either just the coldest freestyler or he just writes in the studio or something like that. But I'm looking for a habit change. And it's the funny aspect of a lot of these celebrities don't really have habit changes, because to get on, you don't really have to change your habits that much. To stay on, you're gonna have to like completely change your life.
But weed is for people who aren't going anywhere, though.
In this scene, I'm like, bro, Al, shut up. What's wrong with you, bro? Just listen. It's not Ern's gal, so it kind of shows what that does mean to a lot of men, and I understand that. Like, if that's your official girlfriend, I'm going to treat her different than if she's just some friend of yours, or even just your estranged baby mama that kicked you out. I might not be too receptive on the phone either. I was giving her a very hard time, in my opinion, over a very trivial thing, because I would just tell her there's nothing you can do. But he did give her the key, which was the condom and the pee, but that was just, he just like had to give her a hard time, because clearly Van has gotten on their ass before for smoking weed, and the worst people who are self-righteous about smoking weed are people who used to smoke weed. The worst. I actually don't like those people at all. I do not like people who stop smoking weed and start preaching against weed. I'm not gonna lie. In general, like, because it didn't work for them, or it doesn't work for them, or doesn't serve them at that time. So as she did this, I was wondering, like, you can't just, or I guess Ern took the daughter, because I was like, you couldn't just hold your daughter up and just wait for her to pee after a while. Just hold her over a bucket for like an hour. Just wait for the baby to pee. Like, this was the way it had to get done, but now I'm remembering that Ern has already taken their daughter, so that's not an option. And maybe that's just not good to do to your child for a drug test. The fact that all this is being done in her kitchen is such dirty work. Like, all of it. Kitchen table, all that, just... And I understand, I'm sure, me not having a kid, like, my house is not used to having kids shit around it and being the disgusting way that kids can be. So, I'm probably looking at this, like, in a different type of light.
To bite?
I like the ridiculousness in this episode. I bring this topic up a lot because I think it's what makes the show so funny, is that Donald Glover as a writer is so good at putting the ridiculous in the right spot. Like, when the ridiculous was happening outside of the back of a concert, weird shit happens back there. When weird shit happened to them, and I'm sure the meetup rooms at like the upstairs of like those type of benefits and stuff like that, I bet some weird stuff can happen there. He put ridiculous stuff happening when he went to jail. Of course, ridiculous stuff can happen there. Ridiculous stuff can happen with kids in this episode. Like, anything can happen. Talk to any teacher. Anything can happen in a school. Kids are insane. Like, they're not even fully formed humans. So, like, they have so much stuff going on, so many different variables, that some ridiculous shit is fit to happen. And when we see this kid in whiteface in school, it's not even, like, shocking. Because we could see a kid doing this. That's what's so crazy about it. Every time you see something purely ridiculous and it's put in the right setting and the writer does a good job of it, it doesn't even seem ridiculous. This is the nastiest episode of the show thus far, and that I ever remember. Like, just the pee and the poop and just getting in her mouth and how she had to use it in the kitchen. It's just, it was damn near a hard episode for me to watch at times. It was so disgusting. Like, this would just be, I'd be the whole dry heaving, but what the fuck? Hell no.
Fuck!
Like, just the pee and the poop and just getting in her mouth and how she had to use it in the kitchen. It's just, it was damn near a hard episode for me to watch at times. It was so disgusting. Like, this would just be, I'd be the whole dry heaving, but what the fuck? Hell no. Watching an episode like this, I might not be built to be a parent, bro. What the hell? But I would think the best way to have avoided this, I was thinking about it in case I ever had to do it, would probably be to bring a safety pin and like put a pretty good hole in there and then just like dump it out in the cup that way so you can get some type of controlled stream. Because I imagine if you tie a condom, it's pretty hard to get the hoe undone. And then in the next scene, it just hurts to watch.
I smoked weed.
Everybody smokes weed. The system isn't made for these kids to succeed, and you've got to shake it off. Unfortunately, you have admitted the use of an illegal substance to a superior, so I've got to fire you.
Like, I hope my employer never sees this episode. I don't get a lot of views on these, so the chances are pretty low. You have to lie here, or just keep your mouth shut. I don't understand telling the truth in these situations, and I know people who would do it. I know people who would handle this situation exactly like this, and I would tell them the exact same thing I'm saying right now. Just be quiet. This upfront honesty stuff is fake. It's not for adults. Say, when it comes to your livelihood, I'm not saying don't be honest, but I am saying when it comes to something as important as keeping a job in today's economy, you have to say what you need to say to stay employed. The woman literally explains to her how she could have just kept her job if she had just kept her mouth shut. Now she's caught up in this, like, the politics of the school. They have to fire her because of her honesty. Like, I feel like, because I've heard people that would, like, talk to police like this too, just like upfront honest with police and stuff. And it's like, and that's like damn near disease. In certain instances, you have to say what's advantageous for yourself. She now can't afford to feed her daughter because she told the full truth to her employer. I can't stress this enough. When I see stuff like this, in real life, it irks me, it bothers me, because I'm like, bro, you have to be able to save yourself. Life's hard for Van right now. Super hard. Her friendships aren't good, her personal relationship not good, she just lost her job. Life is definitely lifing. And then this is the humor of just being a teacher, is that even when life be lifing, you still have to deal with these kids. I'm sorry to laugh at teachers, but that's just what it is. Like, no matter how hard your personal life is, one, some of these kids' life is harder. That's one aspect. But two, they're still going to be who they are. They're not going to change for your personal issues. And I like how this episode was for Van, and Van gets more episodes. And every time life is hitting her hard, Donald Glover doesn't give her a lot of breaks. He really doesn't give any of his characters a lot of breaks. The only person who's not really completely affected by life is Darius. But still, he gets his struggles, and we'll get to those. Guys, this is episode 6, Value. I'll see you guys next time.
550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right?